Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janarandana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janarandana. Yamuna Chiravanachari. Yamuna Chiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kochi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading the last verse of the 6th chapter of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. verse number 40. Yato prāpya nyavartanta vācaś manasā saha ahaṁ cānya devās tasmai bhagavate namaḥ yato prāpya nyavartanta vācaś manasā saha ahaṁ cānya devās tasmai bhagavate namaḥ yato prāpya nyavartanta vācaś manasā saha ahaṁ cānya devās tasmai bhagavate namaḥ yato prāpya nyavartanta saha namaḥ yato prāpya nyavartanta vācaś saha yato prāpya nyavartanta vācaś saha Ladies, please. Yato prāpya nyavartanta vācaś saha anye devās tasmai bhagavate namaḥ yataḥ, from whom aprāpya, being unable to measure, nyavartanta, cease to try, vācaḥ, words, ca, also, manasā, with the mind, saha, with, aham ca, also the ego, anye, other, ime, all these, devāḥ, demigods, tasmai, unto him, bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead, namaḥ, offer obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Words, mind, and ego, with their respective controlling demigods, have failed to achieve success in knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto Him as a matter of sanity. Purport. The froggish calculator may raise the objection that if the Absolute is unknowable even by the controlling deities of speech, mind, and ego, namely the Vedas, Brahma, Rudra, and all the demigods headed by Brihaspati, then why should the devotees be so interested in this unknown object? The answer is that the transcendental ecstasy enjoyed by the devotees in delineating the pastimes of the Lord is certainly unknown to non-devotees and mental speculators. Unless one relishes transcendental joy, naturally one will come back from his speculations and concocted conclusions, because he will see them as neither factual nor enjoyable. The devotees can at least know that the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, as the Vedic hymns confirm. Om tad Vishnoh paramam padam sada pashyati surayah. Bhagavad-gītā also confirms this fact. Vidaischa sarva rahamaeva vedyah. By culture of Vedic knowledge, one must know Lord Kṛṣṇa and should not falsely speculate on the word aham, or I. The only method for understanding the supreme truth is devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad-gītā. Bhaktya mama vijanati yavanyashchasmi tattvataha. Only by devotional service can one know that the ultimate truth is the personality of Godhead, and that Brahman and Paramātmā are only his partial features. This is confirmed in this verse by the great sage Maitreya. With devotion he offers his sincere surrender, namaḥ, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bhagavate. One has to follow in the footsteps of great sages and devotees like Maitreya and Vidura, Maharaja Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami, and engage in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, if one would know his ultimate feature, which is above Brahman and Paramātmā. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Agyana Timirandhasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaḥ. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchena Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoche vachalam pangum ladhete girim yat kripatam aham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Yantah pravishya mama vachi mamam prasuptam sanjiva yati kila shakti darasvadamna anyamshcha hasta charana shravanat vagadin pranannamo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna. The last 6 verses of this chapter describe the inability of the speaker of Maitreya Rishi to describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. He sincerely says that I am unable to glorify the Lord properly. And how can one estimate the glories of the Supreme Lord? So in this humble attitude, Maitreya Rishi speaks to Vidura, and I also can join with him in his prayers and say that I'm also unable to properly glorify the Supreme Lord, but kathanchana smrita yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismrite viparitam syachri chaitanyam namami tam. If someone remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that even the most difficult work will become very easy for him. And this verse describes a very important topic: how to understand the Supreme Lord, how to understand the inconceivable Lord. Actually, this verse is very similar to one verse from Upanishad, from Taittiriya Upanishad. It is quite famous verse. Yato vacho nyavartanta aprāpya manasā saha. By the words, just almost same words in the first two lines. Yato vacho nyavartanta aprāpya manasā saha. It's impossible to grasp the Supreme Lord by our own words, by our mind. So why? Why is that? Because the Supreme Lord is chit potency himself. He is spiritual potency personified. But our material instruments like mind, ego, demigods, and words, they are material. So matter can never understand spirit. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada quotes one verse in Bhagavad-gītā: Brahmaiva san Brahma piyati. To be able to know the Supreme Lord, one must be at the same level of the Supreme Lord. To understand Brahman, one must be on the level of Brahman. And Srila Prabhupada paraphrases very nicely this verse in his purports, maybe in Nectar of Devotion, as far as I remember. Srila Prabhupada says that to be able to serve the king, one must be on the level of the king. So, to serve as a president, one must know what does he like, what he does not like, and who are his friends, how to serve him properly, which food does he like, etc., etc., etc. Actually, the servant of the king, the servant of president, must live the same life as president. So therefore, to understand, to serve properly the Supreme Lord, for that one must be on the same level as the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, it would be impossible to understand him. So, by our own words, it's impossible to understand the Supreme Lord. But nevertheless, we should try. And in this verse it is said, Srila Prabhupada explains that devotees, by glorifying the Supreme Lord, they feel happiness. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantashtira. No. Srimad Bhagavatam. Parasparano kathanam pavanam bhagavat yashaha mithora tir mithastushtir nirvritir mita atmanaha. In the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is explanation how devotees can feel happiness in Krishna consciousness. They can meet together and they can discuss the topics of the Supreme Lord. And actually, the Supreme Lord has many names, unlimited names he has. But also, he has such names like Govinda, Krishna, Vamana. The whole Vishnu Sahasranama itself contains 1,000 names. But also, the Supreme Lord has one category of names connected to his devotees, like Parthasaradhi, the chariot driver of Arjuna, and also many other names actually. Yashodanandana, Devakinandana, and in some purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna likes more when he is addressed by these names connected to his devotees. In the same way, Srila Prabhupada, he created new names of the Supreme Lord, some new names. Huh? Yes, you know. How can you know? How do you know? Londonishvara, Parishishvara, and there is also, I know, one devotee from London, his name is London Ishvara Das, Sri London Ishvara Das, a new name of a devotee. But also, Lord Kṛṣṇa can be known as one who is dear to Madhva Vrajasundar Prabhu, for example. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has 3 devotees with the name Raghunath. And when Raghunath Das Goswami was introduced to Swarupa Damodara, Mahaprabhu told, now you will be known as Swarupir Raghav, the Raghav who belongs to Swarup Damodara Goswami. In the same way, the Lord has many names, and Lord has relationships with each of us. And Parasparano Kathanam Pavana Bhagavate Saha. What should devotees do when they meet together? They should share his own experience of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is unlimited. We can unlimitedly discuss Srimad Bhagavatam in the sense, how can we apply Srimad Bhagavatam in our own life? And actually, in our classes of Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe when some young devotees like myself give classes, maybe for senior devotees, the most valuable for them would be when we share our own experience in Krishna consciousness, because this belongs to us. What can we share? What can we teach to senior devotees, being on neophyte level like myself? But if we share our own experience, our relationship with Krishna a little bit, it's always relishable. So anyway, this verse says that it's impossible to understand the Supreme Lord. But in the Vedas, we can find some verses which say that we should learn the Supreme Lord. It's possible to learn. First of all, we can refer to the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharmah prochita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam sataham Vedyam vastava matra vasta shivadam tapatrayon mulanam, etc. So there is a word Vedyam. Vedyam, there is a word put in a special form in Sanskrit, Vedyam. It means, one of the commentators says that Vedyam means the supreme truth can be known, can be understandable. So we can understand the Supreme Lord. And actually, this is an instruction. Vedyam, we should understand the Supreme Lord. We should do it. And also, in the Vedas it is said, Aupanishadam Purusham Prichhami, that the Lord can be understood in the Upanishads. So it's possible to understand the Supreme Lord. But there is one secret how to understand it properly. We should know how to do it. Actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was such a personality. Maybe he understood the supreme truth more than anyone else in this world. Therefore, he used very difficult language. Sometimes he had to create some new words because the current Bengali language and English language, they were unable to express. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was unable to express himself fully in the full using the present languages in the world. So he has to create some words, and his Bengali language was highly Sanskritized. And once he was asked by some person, so Saraswati Thakur, everyone here understands Bengali. Saraswati Thakur at that time, he was speaking in English, and one person told, can you please speak Bengali, because everyone understands here Bengali. But Saraswati Thakur said, I don't use any of the mundane languages of this world. I don't speak any of these mundane languages, but you should listen, you should open your ears and try to catch the transcendental vibration. And Srila Prabhupada, our own Srila Prabhupada, was famous and was dear to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur because he was able to hear, he knew how to hear. Srila Prabhupada himself, he told that at the beginning I was unable to understand the language of Saraswati Thakur, but anyway, I continued to hear. And Saraswati Thakur mentioned him. And also, most of the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they were unable to understand his language. So there were a few disciples of him like Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Pranavananda Prabhu, who in the future became Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, and Ananta Vasudeva, and some other disciples. And devotees after the class, they used to approach the senior disciples and, please tell what Guru Maharaj said in this class. Can you please explain? And they were explaining to them the meaning of the class of Saraswati Thakur. So the only way, how can we understand the language of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? I am trying to study Bangla. I was trying to read some just introduction to Bhagavatarka Marichimala, but by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's very difficult to understand. Even for Bengalis, I asked my friends, please, can you help me to translate? Not everyone can understand how to translate properly his language. But there is a secret. There is a secret in this verse. So now we have two statements. First of all, the Supreme Lord cannot be understood by using words and mundane language, but at the same time, Vedyam, he should be understood, and it's possible to understand him. So how to resolve this contradiction? And there is a hint in this verse. On the board, there is a hint. One word. How do you think? Which word is this? This word is namas or namaḥ. Is there any word like this? Yes. So this is the secret, and in this regard, what came to my mind, one verse from the fourth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva himself is speaking. Sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam yate tatra pumana pavritah satvecha tasmin bhagavan vasudevo yadhokcha jame namasa vidhiyate. Yadhokcha jame namasa vidhiyate. So namasa or namaste, offering obeisances, this is the only way to understand the Supreme Lord. So Lord Shiva, in this verse, he says, I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. So we must know the truth, therefore Lord Shiva speaks about himself in such a way. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. So Lord Shiva himself, he is in this state of consciousness in which it's possible to understand the Supreme Lord. So if we will achieve this consciousness, Vasudeva, Vishuddha Sattva, Vasudeva Shabditam, Sattvam Vishuddham, in this state we will be able to understand the Supreme Lord. But the secret is in this word, namasa. Only in the humble mood we can understand the Supreme Lord. So in this regard, what should we do? And of course, the solution is, this solution was given by Ramananda Rai, was proposed to Ramananda Rai, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jane prayasa mudapasya namanteva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stitach shruti gatam danuvan manobhir ye prayasho jitajato vyasitai strilokyam. So although the Supreme Lord is unconquerable, but it's possible to conquer him if we, by remaining in our present situation, will hear about himself, will hear about the Supreme Lord. Ye prayasho jitajato. It's possible to defeat the undefeatable, the Supreme Lord, if we, by the science of hearing, so by hearing process in the humble mood, namasa, we should be able to understand the Supreme Lord. And pure devotees, they know the Supreme Lord, they see him by their ears. Tam bhakti yoga paribhavita hrit saroja asse shrute kshatapatho nanunatha pumsam yad yadi yata urugaya vibhavayanti tattadvapuh pranayase sadanugrahaya. Pure devotees, they see the Supreme Lord by their ears. So what is the way to understand the Supreme Lord? The way is by hearing about the Supreme Lord in a humble mood, namasa. That's what we can conclude out of this. And Srila Prabhupada explains the science of understanding the Supreme Lord in one verse. I want to remind you one verse, very important verse in this regard from Srimad Bhagavatam, and very important purport by Srila Prabhupada, in which he reveals how can we hear, how should we hear and properly. So this is the verse from the first canto, first chapter, verse number 13. Tanakh shushrushyamananam arhasyanga nuvarnitum yasyavataro bhutanam kshemaya cha bhavaya cha. O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and His incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters, for one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the conditions by which the Supreme Lord will be revealed to the hearer. The conditions for hearing the transcendental message of the Absolute Truth are set forth herein. So the first condition is this. The first condition is that the audience must be very sincere and eager to hear. So this is the first condition. We should be humble, listen in a humble mood. And second condition, and the speaker must be in the line of disciplic succession from the recognized acharya. The transcendental message of the Absolute is not understandable by those who are materially absorbed. Under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, one becomes gradually purified. Therefore, one must be in the chain of disciplic succession and learn the spiritual art of submissive hearing. So, in many purports, Srila Prabhupada uses this expression, submissive hearing. But in this purport, Srila Prabhupada says about the spiritual art of submissive hearing. So this is very interesting expression. So every one of us who wants to listen properly, who wants to see the Lord by their ears, one must learn the spiritual art of submissive hearing. So practically there are two conditions of the successful Krishna Katha, of the successful class. First, one must hear very submissively, very attentively, in a humble mood, and also the speaker must belong to the chain of disciplic succession. These are two conditions. So we can try to analyze these rules from two different sides, from the viewpoint of hearer, of listener, and from the viewpoint of the speaker, when we give classes, when we speak, etc. It's also very interesting. So let's start from the point of view of the speaker. Actually, Srila Prabhupada established this schedule for us, everyday schedule. We should hear Bhagavatam class. And from time to time, we should give also Bhagavatam classes. This is part of our sadhana. It's not that only senior devotees should give classes. Of course, we should also try to progress in Krishna consciousness. And these are two important processes, two bases of our Krishna consciousness, Shravanam and Kirtanam. We hear scriptures and we also should explain scriptures to others. So Kirtanam, we should from time to time speak about the science of Krishna consciousness. And nowadays there are some courses for the devotees who want to teach in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, like teaching training course and so many courses, specific courses for the teaching Bhakti Shastri, etc., etc., etc. And in these courses, it's very important to learn how to teach. And actually, we have to learn how to teach as it is, according to Srila Prabhupada's desire and according to Shastras. But when we study, when we do all these courses, we should remember one thing, one most important thing. If this thing we will not learn. So some other courses like teaching training courses, etc., they will not give very much result. They will not help us, and they will not help our listeners. So what is the essence of Bhagavatam class? Why we assemble together, and why do we hear from each other? The essence is, like in any other activity in Krishna consciousness, the success of our Bhagavatam class will be if Krishna will agree to come to the Bhagavatam class. So Lord Kṛṣṇa has many forms: namavatara, archavatara, etc., many forms. But one of the most merciful form of the Supreme Lord is his form of Krishna Katha. I heard that in Bhakti Sandarbhas it's described that this is the most merciful form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Krishna Katha. So when we hear some class, and sometimes we can understand, we can realize Krishna comes, Krishna came, Krishna is here. And actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam there is a confirmation of this. In the 4th canto, Srila Prabhupada, in very poetic language, he says, what happens when Krishna comes to the Bhagavatam class? Sautamashlo kamahan mukhachuto bhavat padam boja sudha kana nilach smritir punarvis smrita tattva vartmanam kuyoginam no vitarachalam varaih. If we analyze the meaning of the Sanskrit words in this verse, we can understand that Srila Prabhupada prefers to add something out of his ecstasy. So Srila Prabhupada explains, "My dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities." This is 4.20.25. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouth of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you, etc. So the main point of this translation is the saffron particles. When Krishna comes to Bhagavatam class, we can see by our ears the saffron particles of the dust from his lotus feet. Some happiness we can realize. So it means Krishna comes to this Bhagavatam class. So Krishna is our master. By no means we can force him to come, but by humble attitude we should pray to Krishna. My dear Lord, Krishna, please come to this Srimad Bhagavatam class, because I have to serve Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas will come and they will have to hear from me. I don't want to waste their time. Please come and please reveal yourself to them. Let me be the instrument in your hands. So this is the proper prayer. Srila Prabhupada is praying on Jaladuta. Please, oh my dear Lord, please make me dance as you desires. So before starting our preparation for Bhagavatam class, before thinking which stories we will tell, which analogies we will tell, of course we should create some logic. What will I say at the beginning? What will I say next? What will I say at the end? Here I will put some story and some joke, etc. It should be very interesting to the listeners. But first of all, at the beginning, in the middle, and the end, we should pray to the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna, please come. And without that, Krishna will not come. And of course, some topmost devotees like Srivas Thakur, they are able to enjoy any class. For example, in Kuliyagram, in the present Navadvip city, there lived one person, Devananda Pandit. He was not a devotee, at least he was not a pure devotee, but for the whole life he was explaining Srimad Bhagavatam. And once Srivas Thakur happened to come nearby, and he heard some verses from the mouth of Devananda Pandit, who was not a pure devotee, and he became in ecstasy, Srivas Pandit. Devananda Pandit, he was unable to understand this, and he made some offense towards Srivas Pandit, but Srivas Pandit was enjoying just the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very high level, but first of all, we should pray to the Supreme Lord. And when we prepare for the class, it's essential that we should pray. Maybe we should chant some extra rounds. And please, Lord Kṛṣṇa, give me ability to choose proper words. And when we come to Bhagavatam class, we should not be dependent on our notes, etc. So the best class when we prepare properly, but also when we give some space for Krishna to appear, to speak to the devotees, because there are so many devotees, and every one of us has its own personal demands, personal questions in spiritual life, and we cannot satisfy everyone. Only Krishna can satisfy everyone. Therefore, we should pray, and that will be our success in our class, if Krishna comes, and then Krishna will be able to satisfy everyone. So Srila Prabhupada, in his personal life, he was a world acharya. He was so busy, and most of the time he used to just sit on Vyasasana and speak. And whatever comes to his mind, he was giving to everyone. So he was the medium between Krishna and the audience. So that was his mood. So this is the first important condition of the submissive hearing. And the second condition is from the viewpoint of listener. So how should we listen properly? The Bhagavatam class and any class. We should be submissive and we should be respectful to the message and to the speaker. Sometimes it's not possible. Maybe we just dislike the speaker. What to do in this situation? At least we should be respectful for Srimad Bhagavatam and try, and we should come to Bhagavatam class like the speaker, before starting speaking, he is praying, Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya. And the listener also, he is praying, my dear Krishna, I came to Bhagavatam class. I want to see you today. I want to come in contact with you, with my ears. So please reveal yourself for me today. And if we have such a mood, I personally had experience, if we had such a mood, then Krishna maybe at one point he will say something important to us. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness, and we should invite Krishna, please come, Lord Krishna, please accept this offering to you, please accept this food. So in this way our time will not be wasted. So there are two conditions. And also Srila Prabhupada says the speaker must belongs to bona fide parampara. What does it mean for us? It means that the speaker must give the knowledge without deviations. He must speak according to Shastra, not according to his own speculations, but he should speak according to Shastra. And also, what does it mean for us? So, in one purport, Srila Prabhupada says, I want to read, 1:2:16 Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada says, the eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. So, how much important is hearing? It makes us eligible to enter the kingdom of God. So, therefore, in spiritual life, proper hearing is essential. So, therefore, hearing and listening it's not just mundane process. Therefore, we should hear and we should read books under the guidance of spiritual master. And ideally, we should ask the spiritual master, we should ask our Shiksha Guru, please kindly tell me which books I should read, in which order, and which lectures, which seminars of which devotees I should listen. Otherwise, it can be a disaster, because by our own estimation, we can decide wrongly whose listeners should we hear. For example, in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastimes, in the Antya Lila, there is a story. One devotee from Orissa, he composed some writing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was showing his writing to different devotees, and they were very happy with this. Oh yeah, this is very, very nice writing. Please, you should show it to Mahaprabhu. But when he showed these writings to Swarupa Damodar rejected it, and he found some portion of Mayavada philosophy in his writings. So he rejected. Therefore, we can be unable to understand which books should be read, which books should not be read by us. Therefore, in this subject of listening, of reading, we should always consult with spiritual master, because this is not just ordinary listening, this is spiritual science. So Srila Prabhupada calls it the spiritual art of submissive hearing. And also, in a practical way, what can we implement in our lives? So, Bhagavatam class, this is only one way of hearing Krishna Katha. There is also one other method of listening about Krishna. Nowadays, it's mostly forgotten. In many ways, it's forgotten in our society, but we can revive it. This process is called parayana or path. When someone, not necessarily the senior devotee, but it can be equal devotee to us, he just opens Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Bhagavata, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or any other books, and he starts reading from it. And actually, it's our Gauriya Vaishnava tradition to do such kind of activities, such kind of readings. In Godramadvip, in the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there are two houses of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. One of them is called Svananda Sukhada Kunj. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his last years of his life, he used to sit there with his followers, a few followers like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaura Das Babaji, and some senior, maybe disciples of Saraswati Thakur, old Tirtha Maharaj, Bhakti Pradip Tirtha Maharaj, who was actually a disciple of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And there are remembrances of these devotees, how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he asked Saraswati Thakur to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very happy to listen from the mouth of Saraswati Thakur. And from time to time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he made his comments on it. And sometimes he started jumping, like Jagannath Das Babaji. When he came to Yoga Pit, he was lame, Jagannath Das Babaji. He was unable to walk without help. But he started jumping, Eitu Nimai Janmabhumi, Eitu Nimai Janmabhumi. He was so much happy that the birthplace of Mahaprabhu was discovered. In the same mood, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was explaining, so wonderful, he was dancing and shouting, exclaiming his joy of hearing the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, in my temple in Moscow, on such occasions like Janmashtami and especially Gaura Purnima, in these days we have a long time of fasting, especially on Janmashtami, and we can read about Krishna, we can read Krishna book together, 1 to 3 devotees, just one is reading, other devotees are hearing, and one devotee who is reading, he also can share his realizations, and it will be a nice Krishna Katha. From my first days in Krishna consciousness, I was always wondering, how can I spend time with devotees in Krishna consciousness? What can we do to avoid prajalpa? So I found this is very helpful. First thing is to discuss Srila Prabhupada's books. What did you read last day? What did you read last weeks? Please share your experience, share your realizations. And the second process, we can just read together, one after another, maybe one chapter I read, and the other chapter will read my friend, in such a way we will develop very, very strong spiritual relationships between each other. So this is also the part of submissive hearing. So the goal of our life is to become Krishna conscious, and for this, hearing, proper hearing is essential. So every one of us should try to learn the art of the transcendental art of submissive hearing. And Srila Prabhupada, before coming to the West, he wrote many essays, short essays. And one of these essays is called The Perfection of Home. In this essay, Srila Prabhupada also refers to the art of submissive hearing. And he compares the submissive hearing to injection of some medicine. So by this injection, we can become Krishnaized. How to say? Krishnaized. Srila Prabhupada used this expression. Krishnaized. So more Krishna consciousness. So this is a secret of submissive hearing. So this today's verse reminds us that the only way to conquer the unconquerable Lord is by submissive hearing. So I will stop here. Please, any questions about this? Yes, Prabhu.
You referenced Bhagavatam 1.2.16, Shushusho Shodadanasha, and then there's also Nashta Paresh Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya. It seems that there's a lot, just like with japa, if we render very sincere service, our japa becomes better. So it seems a similar kind of thing, we develop enthusiasm to hear by serving Prabhupada's mission, by giving our hearts in that way. And that's it seems to be a real powerful aspect of it, enabling us to hear submissively, rendering submissive service to Guru and Guranga. And the lights start going on. This is what do you think?
Yeah, thank you very much for this important point. Yeah, I completely agree with this. Because for hearing properly, first of all, we should have taste for hearing. Without taste, we cannot hear. Therefore, Shushrushoh Shraddhadanasya, we should serve the pure devotees. Madhava Vraja Sundar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhu, you mentioned that Krishna is coming to the Bhagavatam class.
Krishna comes to
the Bhagavatam class, and you said about the saffron particles. How we can understand practically the present Bhagavatam class, what you equated for the saffron particles?
It should be self-evident, I think. It should be self-evident. For example, a few days before, I was listening to the class of Radheshyam Prabhu. I was just sitting and seeing these saffron particles in the air. If Krishna comes, so once Srivas Pandit was a main proponent of the supremacy of the divinity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He always preached that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. And once Mahaprabhu he chastised him. Why do you tell this nonsense? And Srivas Thakur, he made one trick. He did like this, towards the sun. And Mahaprabhu said, "What are you doing?" So I am trying to hide the sun. So how do you think? Is it possible to hide the sun? In the same way, how it's possible to hide you? How it's possible to hide the Supreme Lord? So when Krishna comes, it will become evident to you.
Bless us,
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. Here in the translation, it's written at the last, as a matter of sanity, as a matter of sanity. Can you explain, like, I didn't understand, what do you mean? Like, those who try to understand with words, minds and ego, they are insane, or is it like that?
Okay, we can say that in this verse, a devotee says that he is unable to defeat the Supreme Lord. He is unable to conquer him. So, if we are unable to defeat someone, we should surrender to him. There is no other option. So, in the matter of sanity, the Lord is Mahan. He is the great, and we are very small, very chota. So, if we see something great, we can just surrender unto him. So, therefore, on the matter of sanity, we cannot grasp him by our own words, by mind. So, if we cannot defeat someone, we just should surrender unto him. Okay. Thank you very much. Grantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Pacitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.